What up, sports fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. Here are my guys, the Horsemen, Zion Zenith, Adam Costas, and y'all know the one and only NYG, Jeffy T, always shining that light down on top of us so ever so brightly. We here for the Friday night get right. This is the Premium Takes Podcast. Let's go!
What's going on, YouTube, NFL community, Giants Nation, whoever's joining us on this fine evening as you guys trickle into the Premium Takes podcast. What an exciting time we had in free agency. We're going to cover all the latest news, mostly surrounding our team, the New York Football Giants, but we'll dabble in some big other trade rumors or anything like that this episode. But before we begin with all of that, I just want to ask my co-host, how's the week been? I know it's been a long week at work, with family, or whatever you guys been doing, but how's your week? Don't watch
Busy
to the
as
mic.
usual.
Busy as
Busy
usual.
as usual.
Yeah,
Same here.
Man.
Same
love
here.
it, love it. Staying busy like always, guys, and we're gonna start off with a certain bit of player that I know for me had a major connection on my life, only because I just loved his physicality he brought to the football. When I was growing up, I had people to look at like a Ray Lewis, like a Palmalu, and then they retired, and then I switched over to a Luke Kuechly's of the world, and then he's retired, and then I switched over to this guy named Aaron Donald. I know you guys are pretty familiar with Aaron Donald. I know the NFL community is pretty familiar with Aaron Donald, but a long 10 years has now come to the end. This guy is getting out in his prime, and he's retiring at absolutely a perfect time in my mind, because I would say he's already considered as one of the top DTs to ever play the position, and he has a whole life ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? So why stay and get hurt over and over again and put your body through this grainful grit that these football players go through every season, when you can retire on top. You see time after time again, people stay too long in the sport. So that being said, I just want to open up the mic. Let's start with Adam. Adam, what's your thoughts on Aaron Donald retiring? And thank you guys so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for hosting the show. Aaron Donald is an awesome player. He is the modern day, for me, he's the modern day John Randall. He's the guy I always compare him to. He's the guy that I grew up seeing. It's not that I wasn't impressed with Aaron Donald. I loved it. But when you go back and you look at John Randall and his kind of measurables and what they did as undersized D tackles, they changed the game inside. This guy changed the game inside. There is, he revolutionized the D tackle position. No one was getting D tackle money like he was until he came along, right? It was always going to the edge. Well, guess what? He showed in this era of football, you can actually have a small, undersized defensive tackle be a dominant player. And he was an absolute dominant player. And, he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's got his ring. So to me, I enjoyed watching him play. I'm actually glad I got to see him play, because it's not every day you get to see Hall of Fame players, right? And watch their careers. Like for me, I saw the tail end of, the Elways and the Montanas. Of course, I watched Peyton Manning's and Drew Brees, but not everybody comes along where you really changed the game. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy did everything. Absolutely an absolute terror in the middle. I can't think of a better. I mean, there's D tackles that have come before him, and there's an argument about him being the best defensive player of all time. That I will debate with you all day. I don't think he's the
I think
greatest.
that still belongs to a certain giant, but continue.
But I do believe for a D tackle, he's up there, and he's one of my favorites. When I start my team, and I know we're going to do those all-star teams again down the road, I guess when the Hall of Fame comes in, he might be one of my D tackles that I put next to each other, right to John Randall. So, again, he was a different animal. The only other guy that could kind of compare to him was J.J. Watt, because that's how dominant J.J. Watt was. I mean, not J.J. Watt. Yeah, J.J. Watt. People don't realize how dominant he was.
Absolutely.
J.J. Watt was absolute stud. Like people forget how good he was, and he came a little before Aaron Donald. Like he came in 2010, and that guy was beast in the league, and people don't realize like he was an absolute terror. So before Aaron Donald, there was J.J. Watt. So, but it was great to see another guy come in. And when you look at J.J. Watt, you think, "Oh my God, that guy's going to dominate. 6'5", 290 pounds, could do everything." Right? Was like
and not to cut you off, Adam, but I believe J.J. Watt was another person that transferred teams that retired on top. You got to, if I remember, when he retired 2 years ago, he had 12 sacks the previous season.
Right? He was a great player. Oh, J.J. Watt's a great player.
Absolutely. And look at the Watt family in general, though. But continue, sorry.
Right. So what I'm saying is like, if you're going to put J.J. Watt as a defensive tackle, which I think he could be, you could put him as edge, but if you were putting him as D tackle, he's the guy that came before Donald. And then Donald kind of just took it in a different way because he made a guy who's not as tall or as lanky as J.J. Watt. And he made him like, oh, shoot, I can be this little bowling ball and crush and collapse your pocket. I mean, the guy's getting triple teams and still getting sacked. Yeah. It's insane. So, like I said, him and J.J. Watt are two of the best I've seen this last 10 years. And there's another one coming up there too. Chris Jones is pretty good as well. So hats off to Aaron Donald. Sorry, went a little long-winded. Mac, take over.
Well, look, first off, Adam, love the comparison. John Randall was a player that was definitely ahead of his time. Long ahead of his time. Back in the day when he was playing the defensive tackle position, he was kind of an undersized guy too to be playing that position, but he was just an absolute dog, and that was a great comparison when you comparing Aaron Donald to John Randall, man. And but like you were just saying, man, piggyback off of what you were saying, like we got the. It's been a long lineage of great defensive tackles in this league, to be honest, man. I mean, the list can go on and on and on with great defensive tackles. And guys just keep raising that bar to another level, man. Just seem to keep raising. Like you said, we had a few years of J.J. Watt, who just took it to new heights, their position, and then here comes this guy named Aaron Donald, man, who just absolutely raised the bar, man. Set a new standard for the defensive tackle position, man. I mean, he set an absolute new standard. The position is played differently because of a guy like Aaron Donald, man. I mean, this guy, he can play the run, fierce, stout, can rush the passer with the best of them. I mean, he can just do everything, man. He was just an absolute dominant force. He was pretty much the best player at his position his entire career. His entire career, he's been pretty much the best player at his position. I mean, it just...
That Super Bowl run was pretty epic.
I can't say more great things about Aaron Donald.
I mean, didn't he get the game-winning sack or something?
Great things about Aaron Donald, man.
In that Super Bowl,
definitely was a first.
He had a big sack, didn't he? Didn't he have a big sack in the Super Bowl? And then isn't that the sack where he's running down, say, "Give me my ring" or something like that? Like, isn't that a walk-off sack? I thought that's what he had. Anyways, it's irrelevant. The point is, the guy's going to Canton, Ohio. I'm glad he's got a championship because I want to say something real quick.
He's going to 2029, people.
Yeah, first ballot, no question. You might as well just make the bust right now. I mean, that's how surefire. Him and T.J. Watt, just like, don't even worry about it. They're in there. But I want to say something real quick. People are taking away greatness because guys don't win championships. And I need to stand up right now and say, stop taking away a player's greatness just because their team was either dog shit or they met like Michael Jordan in the finals. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't take away. People are like saying about the quarterbacks and all these teams, like, great players aren't great. And I'm saying, like, these great players are great. I'm not going to take away that they haven't won a championship to say that they're not great. Dan Marino is a Hall of Famer. Is he not? Is he not one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? Does he define by a championship? No. But my point is, I'm glad that Aaron Donald got a championship because now there's going to be no like, oh, well, but he didn't win the championship discussion with him. Because you know how the Hall of Fame works sometimes. So I'm glad he's got that. I know it was long winded, but I just wanted to kind of point out like people just because you don't win a championship doesn't mean you're not great. But I'm just saying because he won a championship, it all but puts him in with no doubts, no hesitation. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, and I want to say this too. The NFL is such a recency bias league. Like, what have you done for me lately? But there's come a time where you run into players like this, and you brought it up earlier, Adam. And I want to highlight that it's like this guy is generational. You know, I like Adam said, and I'm gonna repeat it. Like, I'm so happy to have watched him play throughout my lifetime, to seeing him, to like actually looking at him running his 40 at the combine, and then seeing him get drafted, and then seeing what kind of career he had. You know what I'm saying? And it's just absolutely. I know people's gonna automatically and rightfully so,
Picked right before,
mention
right after Odell. Was
right
it
after Odell,
before?
I believe it's something like that. I know it
I
was
think it
that
was
draft,
the
right?
yeah, it was that draft. I know
Mhm.
that. I know that Aaron Donald. I think Aaron Donald was on the board, and Odell was on the board. We took Odell, and at the time, it was like, all right,
That time I love that pick though. Again,
but
gotta be honest.
you can't lie about
Yeah,
that. It was flashy.
yeah, it was. We had to go get
But
that
I
Corvette.
mean, that was great for us. He was great for the Giants.
Yeah,
It just hasn't been
yeah.
so great since.
hey, you know
That's
what?
true, and I will say this real fast, Adam. And like to I'm gonna use you're saying to land this plane I'm on. Um,
Hmm.
when Gronk retired, like everybody was so fast. Well, I want to say so fast, but everyone's like Kelsey, 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 Kelsey. I hope that people respect him, and I get it. Chris Jones is amazing. Chris Jones is on that type of career. We have one in Dexter Lawrence that's right behind Chris Jones in my mind. But at the end of the day, there's only one Aaron Donald, and hopefully his legacy will live on. And I believe true NFL fans his name is gonna be brought up. You know what I'm saying? And at Rams games, he's gonna come out just how Luke Kuechly comes out at Panthers games.
And I
So
want to say
absolutely,
this one last thing.
absolutely,
He played with his one team, and you don't always get to say that about a player these days. So it was good to see another player leaving that team on his own accord, not being traded. Like Bobby Wagner's back on Seattle, right? Now he's
Mhm.
jumped over to Washington, right? But you remember him more as a Seattle Seahawk more than you remember him as any other player, right? You're not going to have that with Aaron Donald. He's a Ram all the way through and through. There's no doubt about it. So I think that's awesome in this modern day of free agency and guys leaving and going to greener pastures. The fact that he dominated, they accommodated him and understood that how good he was, and they did what they needed to do. Hey man, I would retire if I was him too. You accomplished everything,
Yeah.
everything. You're a Hall of Fame player. You're a champion. You're going to go down as one of the top five probably D tackles of all time, and definitely top two or three in certain conversations. So I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that we get to see a guy. Like how old vets hang on. Like, oh, let me hang on here.
Yeah.
It's good to see him
And
play with one team.
it goes to show you, like you said, retire on top, right? Retire on top. He went through a lot of regime changes through his time at the Rams, right? He knows that Matthew Stafford's coming to the end. There's going to be another one. It's like, dude, I went through about 3 or 4. I have a ring. I gave my love to this city and to St. Louis. At the end of the day, retire on top. To move along though, guys, I know you guys probably covered a lot of this on your Wednesday show. But that being said, you guys are gonna probably have to cover it again on for the premium takes fam. So that being said, let's start with Mac. I just want to hear your raw thoughts on Brian Burns. We're gonna spend half the show talking about free agency, and then we can talk into rumors, trades, draft, and all that other fun stuff. We're not gonna go particular in order, but I am gonna start this segment with Brian Burns, and I want to hear you guys' raw thoughts on the contract, raw thoughts on the player himself, Spider-Man coming to the Big Apple. I think he belongs, and just your overall, if you're excited, your overall excitement for Brian Burns on the Giants. What does this mean for our D line and our defense as a whole?
I mean, it could be a game changer. It could absolutely be a game changer. Brian Burns has been one of the absolute best, most ferocious pass rushers the last couple of years in this league, man. And that's a tremendous pickup for the New York Giants. They pretty much stole him. I mean, from the Carolina Panthers. I mean, they just gave him to us for a second and a fifth round pick for a guy amazing that they were able to pull that kind of a deal off, and that's just what the New York Giants need. Get another guy opposite Kayvon Thibodeau. Hopefully, that can help open things up for Thibodeau now. Brian Burns tracks a little bit of extra attention. Thibodeau maybe has more of an opportunity to get off, and then you still got the Aziz Ojolari factor as a good rotational piece now. I mean, that's that. It could get wicked up there for the New York Giants up front, man. Dexter Lawrence, obviously, we were just talking about Aaron Donald and other great D tackles. Dexter Lawrence has potential to become another one of those great D tackles in that conversation. Hopefully, he's playing up to the way he's been playing. So this New York Giants D line is going to be very formidable. And hopefully, the addition of Brian Burns can really bolster this pass rush and give it a little more consistency, the consistency that it needs, because that's what it's been lacking. It just hasn't been consistent. It's been too spotty at times, and now maybe Brian Burns will give it that extra kick in the ass that it needs. And to be quite frank, the defense is going to need that because secondary could have some slight issues this year, depending on some transitions going on in the secondary. We never know what that's going to be looking like, so we're going to be really reliant on that pass rush, being able to get home and creating a lot of disrupting a lot of things, man. So I think that was a great pickup for the New York Giants, man. Making that move, getting Brian Burns, hell of a way to get started in the off season, man, for this football team. Just keep trending up. You know what I mean? With everything they're doing right now, it's been pretty solid moves. So this one has definitely been the big splash that they needed for sure. And to lock him up on a long-term deal, even better. Even better. He is a New York Giant for the foreseeable future. So let's go.
Absolutely. Brian Burns is a New York Giant, and rightfully so. Earned that money. I think he deserves it. What's your thoughts on it, Adam?
We finally have a dog. Finally have a dog on defense, a leader. He has a C on his chest because he was chosen to lead the men out onto the field. He's what we need. And finally, you can be proud to be a Giant defense again. You're slowly starting to see an identity, right? Brian Burns gives you an edge. He gives you a passion. Gives you an actual superstar on the other side of the field. I know he doesn't have a lot of sacks, and those will come. I think they will. I think with Kayvon Thibodeau, those will grow for him. And let's not forget Dexter Lawrence, okay, who's going to help get a lot of those sacks for Brian Burns, who has one of the best get-offs in the NFL. So I absolutely love it. I am super psyched. I liked Brian Burns coming out. I was praying that he fell to us at 17. The Panthers were there at 16. They ripped my heart out as I was like, no, on draft night, because I really, believe it or not, I mean, you guys, that was 2019, so I didn't know everybody. So my word is my word. You either believe me or you don't, right?
In the house.
So, but it was awesome to see Brian Burns, and then now to have this guy, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The merchandise, the guy, he got Spidey on his mask, like he's a dog, and I think that's what this defense needs is a leader. Like think of like this, right? You know how you have like Jihad Ward and his passion. Well, think of Jihad Ward's passion with actual talent in Brian Burns, like that kind of energy.
Coach Ed
He's
in the
going to
house.
be bringing that energy, and I think that's what this defense needs. Between him and Bobby Okereke, I think the defense will be all right. Offensively, that's another story. But Brian Burns, I fucking love it. And I don't really care about the money. You're going to have to pay, right? That's what you have to do. So that's what you have to do.
I would say this though, like about the money, like that's what you get. That's what you get for cream of the crop. I love the fact that they respected him. I love the fact that they went out there and they robbed the Carolina Panthers of him. Did not give up a first. Did not bend. Joe Shane is absolutely killer. I made a whole video about this. Not trying to plug my channel, but you guys go check it out. I go full on in depth. And thank you, Miz, for commenting on that. Because Miz commented, Joe Shane's absolutely killer. And that's what he's been doing this whole free agency, man. Absolutely love this side. And if you think about it, not only does it help out the defensive line, It helps out the offensive line because they got to go against these guys in training camp. This is arguably looking. I know this is young. This team is young, but in a couple of years, man, this team, like, it could be next year where this defense is the cream of the crop. If you look what around the league and you look what the Steelers are doing, right? You got to respect it. The Steelers grabbing Patrick Queen. They got Minka still there. They got T.J. Watt. You're looking at the Steelers and like, whoa, hold up. But then you look at our defensive line. You're like, hold up. You got Bobby behind him. You have Banks that's looking promising. You know what I'm saying? You got Jason Pinnock that's looking promising. We haven't even hit the draft yet. That being said, guys, when I was growing up, the New York Giants has always been known for the defensive line, man. And seeing your OC, seeing your Tuck, seeing your Michael Strahams of the world, we was known for that physicality up front. And this is just what we needed, man. Someone that is for sure. I think this is the best scenario. If you think about it, I think Brian Burns is better than anybody you could have got, any prospect you could have got with that number 2 pick. Because guess what? This guy is a proven commodity already, and we hit him in his prime. We just caught him in his prime, guys, off of a rookie deal at the age of 25. Absolutely love it. So this is the time. I just wanna open up the mic to you guys, and next year we're gonna have a lot of cap space. But looking at this year, what Joe Shane was able to do, he brings in. Not only does he bring in John and he brings in Jermaine, but we just found out today that he's bringing in other offensive linemen. This guy is like, Macklemore and the thrift store, just bargain shopping. You know what I'm saying? And getting killers at that. When you look at someone like Devin Singletary, you go through his contract and you go through his career. Not only does this guy have consistently 600 to 800 yards on the ground, but consistently catches balls with at least 100 to 300 yards. That's 1,000 yards from scrimmage. That's product. That's things that we need. If you look at what we have in that position with our young running backs, I don't feel we're done with that running back position just yet. But just overall of it, out of everybody we got, guys, I just want to say this is looking like a pretty big win in this offseason. I know
Breaking
we can't
news.
say anything right now, but we got some breaking news. So let me just turn it over to Mac, and I want to see what that breaking news is.
8-time Pro Bowler, offensive tackle Tyron Smith signs intentional signing with the New York Jets. The New York
Tyron Smith to the
Jets.
Jets.
Wow.
That is a big time move for the New York Jets.
Good for that.
That is a big time move for the New York Jets right there. That addresses a major issue for that football team.
Big grab for the Jets for sure. So I'm gonna let Mac hold on to the mic, and I just wanna hear your thoughts on free agency. Was there any player outside of Brian Burns? And know that was a big splash that you really was like, damn. Like, I just want to hear your raw thoughts on the whole free agency and Joe Shane, and any player particularly you want to highlight. The floor is yours. Definitely a loss to Dallas.
Well, it's not any one individual right now. It's a position group, so to speak, man. Joe Shane has added some depth to this offensive line, in particular the interior of the offensive line, and that's clutch, that's key. That was just a major problem a year ago. Too much pressure right up the middle, constant all season long. Guards were just turnstiles. Almost didn't matter who the hell they put in there. It was just terrible all across the board. So getting some new faces in there, John Runyon Jr., the guy from the Raiders, whose name I still can't remember. Can't really pronounce, probably Elawando or whatever. Jermaine, that guy, yeah, that guy. And the guy they got today, the one they picked up today from the Bucks,
But it's Bucks.
as well.
Yeah.
Just keep adding that interior offensive line depth, man. It's just that's good work for me. That's attention to detail. That's Joe Shane paying attention, knowing exactly where the major problems were a season ago. I mean, get this thing getting right, man. We can get this offensive line up to just being at least even just average. If they could even get up to being average offensive line, that's all. That would be a big step, a big leap forward, man. So hopefully, how you doing, Miss Halftime? Thanks for stopping
What up,
in.
Halftime?
Appreciate you. But yeah, I just like the way Joe Shane is paying attention and really attacking the issues and the things his team needed to address, man. So I appreciate the offensive line depth that he's been adding.
Absolutely love it. So, Adam, what was your thing? I kind of feel you probably going to go down the same route, but what was your big thing besides Brian Burns and just open up discussion about free agency as a whole
For the New York Giants
What's going on,
or
halftime?
the
for the New
entire
York Giants,
NFL?
and then absolutely, what's up, halftime? We're focusing on the Giants for now, and then we'll open it up to the NFL.
Well, I mean, after Brian Burns, the offensive line, I like what they did there. Getting Luminor, I think he's going to start. Basically, what you're going to be doing is putting your best 5 on the field. If that means you move Evan Neal to guard, well, so be it. Luminor can play tackle. You can also have some experience at guard, so get your best 5 linemen out there. You got some decent depth that they just signed as well. So they understood what the problem was last year, so that's a good start. As for Devin Singletary, he allows the Giants to have a downhill runner, kind of a one-cut back. It's, I wouldn't say an easier back, but a back that is kind of just simple. He's just going to get you the tough yards, right? So I'll take the 4 yards a carry than the 40-yard gainers, right? So he's a chain mover, so to speak, and I like that. So and now they have all these tight ends all of a sudden, blocking tight ends. So that means they're probably going to try to run downhill. It also could mean they might be getting a quarterback at some point because you're putting all these pieces together to make a downhill running game, kind of smash mouth, blocking tight ends, short passes, not really making anything complicated. I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm also excited about Drew Lock, but what do I know, right? Anybody, $5 million, man, Drew Lock, woo, get some energy in the building. I'm going to follow his journey.
That's pretty cheap for a backup quarterback. I know $5 million seems like a lot, but if you think about what all these other backups are getting,
What's up, Curtis?
that's amazing. What's up, Curtis?
I think if I'm him, and there's a rumor saying that he's going to be doing like the OTAs and stuff, like while Daniel's out, so when Daniel can't throw, or whatever the case may be, right? So he's going to be taking all those reps. Well, then it's like, well, if he's taking all those reps and he's getting closer and closer to training camp, he might be QB1 at one point. Just like, let's just ride with this kid. He's cheap.
This is the way I look at it. I mean, like, your boy is injured, homie. Like, Daniel Jones is injured. Drew Lock is the only quarterback right now on the team that can throw week 1. So right now, Drew Lock is your quarterback 1. We're gonna talk about the draft. We all know how you feel about the draft. And not to take over your whole thing, Adam, but I just feel like everything they're doing in free agency is setting up this team for a leader that they are going to find in the draft. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Go right ahead, Adam.
Yeah, well, sorry.
No, sorry, I probably
train of thought.
My fault on that.
All right.
You was talking about Drew Lock, and then you was talking
about. Yeah. I'm rooting for somebody not named Daniel Jones. I don't care if we don't draft Drew Lock. Man, you're my QB1, man. Go out and win the job. Guy's got swagger. He's having fun. What he's got to lose. And there's rumors saying like, it's funny. It's like the Seattle GM said something like, Drew Lock went there because he has a chance to start some crap, right? And then Drew Lock denies it. And the Giants said that he came in to be the backup. And I'm like, I'm looking at the situation like there's some truth to it. Like there's got to be a little truth to everything. Like, yeah, sure, they may not have guaranteed him the job, but he also is going to be the quarterback 1 through OTAs while he rehabs. So, I mean, you got to think that if I'm Drew Lock, where am I staying? Geno Smith is not necessarily guaranteed. I could have stayed there, and maybe they would have liked him. I don't know. I'm just saying, this is one of those guys I was telling you guys about, I think last week, where it's like, if you're going to sign a quarterback, maybe get one with some upside like a Drew Lock, because if roll the dice. What if you hit a diamond in the rough and he plays like, oh my God, we got a cheap option here that we didn't know, and then he could be your bridge quarterback, and away you go on that front. Like, but give it a chance. Let's see if it works. Because right now we know it doesn't work. So I'm trying it out. I'm being excited because at the end of the day, We'll get to some draft talk, and we'll talk about our many viewpoints when we get there.
Oh, absolutely, we will, but I would say this kind of is a fine line between draft talk and still free agency talk. I will say this: when I seen this Drew Lock signing, I know a lot of Giants fans was like, "Yeah, we're not getting a quarterback now." This tells me that Brian Dable wants to run Brian Dable's offense. Daniel Jones does not run a Brian Dable's offense. That Brian Dable wants to take shots downfield. Drew Lock takes shots downfield. Brian Dable wants to. You look at our receivers on roster, man. They are fast. We want to be taking these 30-yard bombs, these 40-yard bombs, and Daniel Jones and Drew Lock is totally a different breed of quarterback. Yes, they're the same, but they're totally different in a way. And it just tells me this is aligning for something big in the draft. But like we said, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Let me just say one quick thing.
Absolutely.
It may not be quick because I haven't been quick, but anyways,
Okay.
Drew Lock with Brian Dable, I'm intrigued because it's like, all right, this guy was a second round pick. He might have some talent. We know he's not great, but I don't know. Let's see what Brian Dable can do. If he can get it, like, I'm not saying I want Brian Dable to be rehab of every quarterback, right? But we did see what he did with Tyrod Taylor. We did see what he did with Tommy DeVito. This guy's coming in with a little bit more upside than Tommy DeVito, probably more upside than Tommy DeVito, and could he be on the same level as an average starter if he needed to, and maybe be a functional quarterback. I don't know. Someone said like a Baker Mayfield. I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if Drew Lock comes in, beats Daniel Jones out for the job, and the Giants end up like making the playoffs or some shit? That would be the Cinderella story of all Cinderella stories. I think it would be funny. No, I'm rooting for the kid. I want to see him do well, and I just want to see, what he brings to the table. Because like Zion said, he has a big arm. He throws downfield. If he can be a little bit more accurate, maybe, like, I don't know, maybe Jalen Hyatt gets involved in the offense. Imagine that, right? We drop back and, and this is in case Drew Lock is, his mechanics are good. If Drew Lock's mechanics are good, he rips one downfield, boom, Jalen Hyatt downfield, touchdown. You know what I mean? I just think it would be fun to see a guy who's a gunslinger as opposed to check down Charlie. So
I love his energy, man. We all seen that video with him rapping on the sideline, but just congratulations to Drew Lock. Congratulations to all these free agency. And I love the respect, man. I love the respect that this organization still carries. You can go play at other organizations around the league, man. When our free agents come here, like we seen it last year with Nacho walking in and seeing the trophies and that this is different. When free agents come here, they already know this franchise is a historic franchise, a five-star franchise, the sixth highest grossing franchise in all of sports, been around since 1925. And I love all of their excitement when they praise the Giants. This is not like going to your shitty Midwest team, not trying to be a dick. This is the New York Giants. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, guys, let's move along in our free agency talk. Let's talk about a move outside of the Giants that you really thought was a win for a team. And I'm gonna store it. I have so much, but I'm gonna pick this one. I know they're giving a lot of missed signals, guys, but I'm gonna just say when you land a Keenan Allen for a fourth round pick, I know that was a trade, but it still happened in that free agency window. So I'm gonna talk about it. That is a steal, bro. Like how the hell do you get a Keenan Allen for a fourth round pick? Like Chicago, that's a win for Chicago, obviously. And what does that tell me? Wide receivers on Los Angeles Chargers. Like we're gonna talk about the draft when we get to that, but man, that's just crazy. But Keenan Allen for a fourth. I know there's a lot of other great names that I could mention, but I'm gonna let the boys mention that for me. So that being said, Mac, what was your highlight of free agency outside of the Giants?
I mean, I wouldn't call it necessarily a highlight. It's just something that was enlightening to me. It's not these guys. None of these guys were even free agents, but they all found new homes. The poor old 2022 quarterback draft class. One Mr. Kenny Pickett, one Mr. Sam Howell, one Mr. Desmond Ritter. All found new homes in the last couple of days via trades. after pretty subjective quarterback play by all three of these young men this past season. I think Sam Howell probably played the best out of the three if I had to pick one of those guys. But I'd say Sam Howell probably played the best. I mean, Desmond Ritter, I think is the absolute reason why the Atlanta Falcons were not able to win that division down there in the NFC South. I think they had the best team, and I just think that overall, if better quarterback play, they would have won that division. And Desmond, that falls on the hands of Desmond Ritter. Just was not ready to be a starter in the NFL. Doesn't look like. So maybe go sit out there in Arizona with Kyler Murray, and maybe we'll see if he can maybe develop into something a little bit more. Sam Howell out in Seattle now, be playing behind Geno Smith. I think that's a really good fit for him. Somewhere he can just kind of maybe sit and kind of reset for a year because I think Sam Howell really did show some good flashes early on in this past season. Looked like he was possibly going to be a guy that they could have continued to grow with down in Washington. But obviously, we know the wheels did fall off. Got a little bit shell shocked, and I think he kind of just lost his confidence and lost his way a bit. And who's
It's
the
an
other one
interesting
we
move.
forgot already? Oh, Kenny
Do you
Pickett.
think?
And
Do you
Kenny
think?
Pickett,
Sorry. Do you
go
think
ahead.
Sam
Go ahead.
Howell can win the job? Like, because Geno Smith is kind of, I wouldn't say on the hot seat, but like obviously the older, he is a little bit of a, I wouldn't say loose cannon, but like streaky kind of quarterback, right? That you can get out of
I
his
think based
contract.
on the I think based on those three moves, all three of those trades, where all three of those landing spots for those three guys, I think Gino probably would have the shortest leash of the starters between Collar and Arizona with Desmond Ritter behind him, or Jalen Hurts in Philly with Kenny Pickett behind him. I think Gino probably would have the shortest leash if things started to kind of go a little bit awry. I think they look back at some of that tape from a year ago and realize as long as you can protect Sam Howell, he can possibly go out there and make some good things happen. I mean, clearly, I think the pressure just got to that kid, and like I said, it just caused the wheels to completely fall off. So I think
He's a rookie, but
good
he
for
was a
all three of
rookie,
these young guys.
I
I
think
mean,
real
all three
fast
of
too.
these young guys, man, learned to had a
Continue, Mac. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, no, please continue.
All three of these young guys, man, it was a tough lesson for all three of them, man. They all came in kind of trial by fire a little bit. I mean, Kenny Pickett had probably had a little bit more starting experience than the other two because he actually played a little bit more his rookie season than both of them. But at the end of the day, they all kind of look like guys that weren't quite ready for the spot that they were put in. And Ritter and Sam Howell both late round picks, so there's no real big investment there. But Kenny Pickett was a first round pick, if I'm not mistaken, right? He actually
I
did
believe so.
go in the
Yes.
first round of Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Yes.
so
In the
that's kind of a
twenties.
tough blow for that team to have to tough pill to swallow to realize a guy you took just a couple years ago with your first round pick just didn't work out to be the guy for you, and you already had to send them packing. But all three of these guys young, and we'll see what the future holds for them, man. If I had to pick, I think we'll start seeing Sam Howell a little bit more sooner than later over the other two, but
Yeah, I was going to touch on that because
we'll
of the
see.
fact that Pete Carroll is no longer there. I think Pete Carroll had a lot to do with Geno Smith's year, a lot to do with Geno Smith's starting. And I can tell you here, the coach there, he's not Pete Carroll. Maybe one day, but Pete Carroll is different. Okay, so the fact that you have a new coach, a new coaching staff, at the end of the day, they're going to compete. And I think Sam Howell has the opportunity to actually win the starting job better than the others. And I was just going to say that on that point. I don't know if Adam stepped out of the room, if he's here. Um, Looks like he stepped out of the room, so you can continue, Mac, unless you're done, and I can talk until he comes back.
Uh, I mean, I like what I hate the. I mean, another thing in free agency I'd say is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah,
I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles making moves that put them back right in the championship contendership again, man, right away, man. Chauncey Gardner Johnson, that's right and the wrong right there. That's the absolute way you right or wrong. They knew they screwed up and they went back out and made that right and paid that man to bring him back to Philadelphia. And that was a big time pickup for them. I mean, obviously, Saquon Barkley was a big time pickup for them as well. It sucks after watching. It's gonna suck watching him put on that green uniform, but at the end of the day, NFL's a business and it is what it is, man. And that's just what it comes down to. But they really did. I mean, with the big key retirements, Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey, man, this team still didn't bat an eye. They went out there and they made some serious and they made moves, man. That just Bryce Huff move. I mean, this team just continues to figure it out, and they continue to figure out how to stay relevant and stay on top, man. And like Adam said it on Wednesday, man, this team has now officially leapfrogged the Dallas Cowboys once again, on paper, at least for right now, as the top team in this division, in the NFC East division, man. And they also are right back in the running for, like I said, favored in the conference, best, maybe potentially the best team in the conference once again. So we'll see what the future holds for the Eagles, man. But so far, it's been great all season thus far for that football team once again.
You know what I don't like about the Eagles, though. I can't say it. Joe Shane is absolutely amazing on what he's doing with these contracts. I think it's totally smart on what and Green Bay absolutely made some big
Absolutely
moves
right.
as well. Um, yeah, I love what Joe Shane is doing with these contracts. I love the way they're structured, but you gotta just submit to like Howie. Like somehow you gotta just be like, how the f do they do this, bro? Like they still have 38 million in cap space, bro. They're only paying Berkeley 3 million this year. Like it's just insane how they're working these contracts. When I'm looking at the Eagles this offseason, bro, and I don't think Berkeley's on the paper yet. This is a bad website. I'll find another one, but when you look at some of their contracts, bro, the way how he sets these up, bro, it's like how, bro, like how after all their signings, bro, they still got 38 million in cap space. So, God, the Eagles. With that being said, though, we have a defensive line. Hopefully now, and then I want to see Berkeley come on us 2 times a year. I can't wait for that matchup, honestly, and hopefully we keep on building and we can sustain something in here in New York. Adam, are you back yet? Doesn't look like he's back yet. So I say we just touch on this subject. Cousin, man, time after time after time after time after time after time again, man. He bets on himself and he absolutely he keeps on winning, right? This guy bet on himself in Washington. Everybody at the time was like, he ain't gonna get NBA money. He's not gonna get fully guaranteed money. What does he do? Break the bank at the time for the Vikings and fully guarantee and has a sustainable career at the Vikings. And then all of a sudden this year, book back ends. That's absolutely right, Ed, when it comes down to the contracts for Philadelphia, back in a lot of their contracts. That being said, though, on to Kirk Cousins, man. This guy just finds a way to win again. With Atlanta, he got everybody in the city excited for him. You know, I actually gonna admit something. I watched this full introductory. You know, just wanted to see it. You know what I'm saying? And he said in the introductory that he's been living in Georgia. His wife is from Georgia, and it's like his second home to him. All the rappers down there, like Quavo's, like saying, "Oh, we're gonna have a lot of chains for you." And I just love this move. This is a win for an organization that's ready to compete. If you look at Atlanta, they got a defense, they got an offense, and some would say they got one of the best offenses set up with young pieces in Kyle Pitts, in Drake London, in the homie at running back, Bijan Johnson, and in Aguilar that's still there as well. Aguilar, you guys get the point.
Darnell Mooney and
now
Rondell
Mooney.
Moore. They've had a tremendous offseason as well. The Atlanta Falcons,
Absolutely.
they've been making key move after key move.
Key moves after key
Seriously,
moves.
adding some serious weapons on that offense. Serious weapons on that offense now to go with the weapons they already had. So
Facts.
that's going to be a dangerous offense, a dangerous football team next year's season.
Absolutely. And you think about it, now at that 100 grand guaranteed, that he puts his total right underneath Tom Brady at a total of 330 million. Take this time, talk about the Falcons like Mac did, or talk about Kirk Cousins. Go right ahead, Mac, and then Adam, if you're back yet, you can touch on free agency and then of course touch on Kirk Cousins. But go right ahead, Mac. What do you feel about Kirk Cousins?
Hey guys,
winning again? What's up, Adam?
Sorry, I had to get my cord.
Kirk Cousins is
You're good.
Look, can't hate on Kirk Cousins, man. Kirk Cousins is he's doing what you got to do, man, and he's turning the NFL into his personal ATM, bro.
Is he a franchise
ATM right there?
Is he a franchise quarterback?
This guy. This guy.
I would say yes, honestly.
He's getting paid like one. That's for damn sure. He is getting paid like one. He's getting paid like a Hall of Fame quarterback, like the best, like the best in the business. Kirk
Okay,
Cousins, man, has just
so
racked up on money from the NFL,
Go
man.
get your money,
I
cut. I
don't
love
even
it.
I don't even know how to even. It's crazy to me that Kirk Cousins is like right underneath Tom Brady and like total. What? How is that even possible? It doesn't seem like that should be. Hey, she shouldn't even be close to that. Kirk Cousins has been a good quarterback. Let's face it, he's not a bump by no means. He's definitely been a good quarterback. He hasn't gotten over the hump in big spots, but at the end of the day, he's been a solid quarterback through most of his career, man. But the money that he has raked in, it just seems unfathomable because it just you just don't seem like if you just were blindfolded, you wouldn't associate that cash with Kirk Cousins. You just wouldn't. You would think totally it had to been it has to be somebody else. There's no way Kirk Cousins is the name that will pop in your mind when you see those totals, man, that money. But look, Kirk Cousins, man, look, bro, I can't knock it, bro. You do what you doing. You doing it, man. You winning. You are absolutely winning, bro. Winning.
I would say
Like
this
shit.
to that too before I let Adam have the mic. Here's the thing though, like he carries himself like the quarterback. He's the kind of quarterback that people look at that's like, oh yeah, he is a face of a franchise. And I would say this. Max said it perfectly. He may not have won all these special championship games or anything damn near close to it. But what he does bring is consistency over year after year after year after year. And some will argue that the defense in Minnesota over the past couple of years really let them down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit up here and preach like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. But I would say congratulations to him, man, and his family. And I know he he's big on getting one. He's big on getting one, and I wouldn't be shocked, man. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets one for Atlanta in the next 4 to 5 years. He says at his press he wants to extend it. He wants to play 4 years for Atlanta, and he wants to retire Atlanta Falcon. So that opens up a window, and you know this guy is coming here thinking Super Bowl, and he's not going to say it as loudly as Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers is literally preaching it to the choir. You know what I'm saying? Super Bowl for the Edge, Super Bowl for the Jets. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. He's literally more humble about it, and I wouldn't surprise me if the Falcons are really competing in the next couple of years. Go right on, Adam. Take it over. Free agency thoughts. Cover Kirk Cousins, and then just cover your war thoughts in general. What is something another team did that really surprised you, really shocked you, really that you just want to talk about?
well, with Kirk Cousins, it's pretty interesting that he went down there and got the guaranteed money, and this makes him a contender, at least a playoff contender. Super
Yeah.
Bowl, I have no idea yet. I have to go out there and prove it. Right, this is a team that couldn't beat the Buccaneers last year, who aren't that great of a team either. Right, so that's what you're going to ask yourself: go out there and prove it. And if you can go out there and prove it and get it done, then he's going to be worth the money. And Atlanta believes that they are close enough to that team. And let's be honest, there's not many teams that they have to leapfrog to get into the playoffs and make a run. Remember, they just want to shoot for the playoffs, right?
I think they win the division in the offseason. Wait, Atlanta's going to win that division. I don't see a threat from the other teams. Honestly, a lot could happen. But honestly,
Well, listen.
AJ Terrell was hurt this past couple of seasons, and AJ Terrell is an underrated cornerback. That's a beast. But they're young. But continue. I don't want to take up your time.
But the thing that Kirk Cousins is supposed to be is he's supposed to beat the Baker Mayfields and Derek Carrs. You would think that he is going to make the Falcons the top of the division, right? Type of quarterback. That's what you're paying him for. So Kirk Cousins, no more excuses now. You've got a good defense. You've got a solid offensive line. You've got decent weapons. Now's the time. If you can't get it done with this team, I can't help you anymore, bro. Like, I can't keep defending you because, listen, this is what I talk about with greatness. If this guy goes on to break records in the passing game, right, and ends up with like 60,000 yards or something like that, and could be a Hall of Famer, and just because he, led the leagues in passing, do we take that away from him because he never won a championship? You know what I'm saying? So, Kirk, if you want to put yourself in that Hall of Fame talk, this is where you do it. Take Atlanta and do what no other quarterback has done. Okay? And, We'll see, man. I mean, that division, like you said, Zion, that division's not that hard. But I don't want to take anything away from Baker Mayfield. I mean, he had a solid year, and those teams are starting to kind of build a little bit of momentum, and they're going to be feisty teams. And Kirk Cousins is supposed to thrust you into that, that top four. Like you want to be in the divisional round. That's what you want to be with Kirk Cousins. That's your goal right now. Get me to the divisional round at least, and then from there we can talk about the next steps, right? But at least get me to that doorstep, right? I can't have wild card. I need you to get me to the divisional round. Make me believe that you're the guy because things happen, right? He's never had a defense like this. He played a solid game against the Giants, a winning performance with any other team, but his defense was not great, right? I mean, Daniel Jones had a good game, right? I said it there. I said it, people, oh my God, I think I'm going to burn in hell. No, he had a good game, but so did Kirk Cousins on the other side, right? And his defense let him down. Now you would hope that Atlanta can be a little better on the defensive end and kind of give him either more opportunities or also stop people from scoring, right? So either, yes, appreciate it. So I'm just saying, man, like I'm excited to see what Kirk Cousins does with this Atlanta team, and just from afar, like I know I'm a Giant fan, but I just kind of want to see how it plays out. Like, all right, man, like buckle up, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely be tuning into the Falcons. I'm really on their YouTube channel and stuff like that. And I would say this though too. Don't count out AOR 15. AOR, I know he changed it. That Colts offense was lethal late on in the season. If you think about it, there wasn't really good on defense, but if you think about it, what the offense was able to do. Now they get a healthy AOR 15 back. If he does compete, well, he's the starter of that team. You know what I'm saying? But they have Joe Flacco. They just signed Joe Flacco as well, a proven veteran. So I know. I just laid hoard on that team, but I wouldn't be surprised even though. But go ahead, Adam.
The other team that I have been watching from afar that I find is intriguing right now
Different
are
division.
the Washington Commanders right now. Like they're just putting together this team where you're like, oh, that's an interesting move. Oh, I mean, like they have Bobby Wagner. Like, is it a great move? No, but you're like, oh, I see what you're trying to do here. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to lay a foundation where you're not necessarily going to be a dog shit team. You may not win a lot of games, but it's not going to be because, lack of fucking effort and trying you're going to have a little talent on that team. I'm not saying they're going to be winners, but I'm just saying with the free agents that they're bringing in, you're like, oh, you're building a little bit of a team here so that when whoever the quarterback is that they get, like they've invested in the offensive line, they've got some offensive line help, they have defensive help, they brought in linebackers all over the place, right? They have defensive, Quinn is your defensive coordinator. You have Kellen, what's his name? Not Kellen Moore. Who's the ex-Arizona coach?
Cliff Kingsbury?
That's it. I don't know why I was saying Kellen. Anyways, Cliff Kingsbury. You have him as your offensive coordinator. There's a lot going on with this team that if you're a Commanders fan, you're like, wow. We're kind of, I wouldn't say headed in the right direction, but you're starting to see, all right, if the draft goes, well, I don't think it goes according to plan, but they're going to get a quarterback in here, and it's gonna look different. And I'm not saying they're going to win games, but they have had a solid
young ribbons on defense too. If you think about it, if the cornerback they just took last year, a couple years back. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, think about. I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters. I'm not saying, oh, go bet my money on the Washington Commanders. No, all I'm saying is, for a team that's rebuilding, right? They're just kind of interesting how they're putting their pieces together, But one move that's peculiar to me is Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles.
You okay?
I don't know how I feel about this. How do you guys feel about it? Kenny Pickett to the Eagles.
I think that's a good steal on the Eagles because they're getting a quarterback that was just drafted in the first round that is going to be a backup to Hurts, and when Hurts goes down, if he does go down because he's missed games. You got to be honest, he's missed games over the past couple of seasons, and I hate talking about the ops like this, but that's a good backup quarterback to have and still learn underneath Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of those moves, guys, where Kenny Pickett goes there and actually in a couple of years actually increases his trade value, and maybe they get something. If trade him off to another team, if Jalen Hurts is really the guy, you know what I'm saying? I think this is a win for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I hate saying that.
Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't know. Man. Kenny Pickett.
I think they've done well.
Guy, I think Kenny Pickett might end up proving to all of us that he may end up just being a really good career backup quarterback. I think that's where Kenny Pickett's gonna find his lane in the NFL. Man, he'll be a guy that kind of floats around team to team, as that kind of just does enough in the preseasons every year where it's like, yeah, we'll keep this guy around on rosters. He'll be like that guy that's just a good career backup quarterback, like a Dan Orlovsky type of guy. You know, one of those kind of guys.
I like Dan Orlovsky.
Makes a career out of being a backup. I'm just getting those vibes from Kenny Pickett, man. Honestly,
What did they trade him for?
It was really tough out in Pittsburgh. They traded him for just pick who's draft picks. It wasn't like pick swaps.
Kenny pick for fourth, yeah. Still does get a third, so they just swapped picks. But could you see something where he sits? Maybe Jalen Hurts goes down a couple of games. He comes in, maybe has really good games. A year passes, a team's quarterback goes out, and they're calling the Eagles like, "Hey, can we get Kenny Pickett?" You know what I'm saying? Like, so the Eagles for value, like, who knows though? Who knows? Could continue,
happen.
Max.
I suppose it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose that could happen. I'm just not really. I don't know. After kind of what I watched this season with him, I'm just not really feeling. I'm just really getting those backup vibes, man, from him, man. But like I said, hopefully the kid proves me wrong. I like to always see people succeed, you know. So hopefully he proves me wrong. But I'm just not. I'm not so convinced.
I would say this. I don't know if Adam's back yet, but let's just touch on one final free agent before we move on to just some quarterback talk or some draft talk in general. I'm gonna touch on one player that went to a team that it just looks like it just fits him. Not only the move fits him, but just just the way he looks in the uniform. He looks like he was meant to be there. Like the universe just aligned for him right. And yes, that is going to be Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens. Now the Baltimore Ravens has the league leading rusher in the past 5 seasons, if you total all his yards combined, and then they got the league leading rusher at quarterback in Lamar Jackson when you total all of his yards combined. I think Lamar Jackson has a little bit over 5,000. Derrick Henry has a little bit over 8,000. That being said, though, what a dynamic piece to add to that offense, and literally when I was looking at the Instagram feed when this dropped, like a comment said, like, man, Baltimore is about to have like 5,000 rushing yards and 1,000 passing yards, and it just, I mean, the whole NFL is going towards a pass offense. Here's the Baltimore Ravens again, always top cream of the crop at the top of the list when it comes to rushing, and then they go get the king of all kings in Derrick Henry. So what does that mean for an organization like a Baltimore Ravens? And now I'm just looking at it now. You're playing maybe a Aaron Rodgers Jets, you're playing a Josh Allen's Bills, you're playing Mahomes Chiefs, and then there's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna one hit on your guys' throats and they're not getting on the field. Like, this is an amazing move for them. Let's go ahead with Adam.
I think Derrick Henry is intriguing to me, very much so, because if he stays healthy, they have a decent offensive line, right? I don't know if they're going to sign Kevin Zeitler. I don't know what they're going to do with his position if he leaves for free agency. Hopefully they sign him back, but he could leave, right? He was a solid guard for them. So I don't know. I love this move. I love it because he's a downhill runner, and I think that's what they need. They need a bruiser. You put him back there, and then all of a sudden you have Lamar Jackson back there, and it's like what the Eagles have with Jalen Hurts and Barkley. It's like you cannot put 8 in the box because he's going to run down your throat. Right? You can't put 9 in the box. They're going to beat you over the top with all the receiving weapons. It becomes like a video game at that point, because when he starts to run down, and he's not going to be a receiving back, by no means. I'm sure they'll give him a couple of screens here, a couple of screens there. But what his job is to be a bruiser, is to pound that fucking rock. And I think, you know what? If this is where he ends his career, good for him. And maybe it's the move they need to get over the top, because I think if they had been able to run the ball with a little bit more effectiveness, let me put it to you this way. If they had Derrick Henry, maybe they have a different outcome in the game. And what I mean by that is maybe they play him a little differently because they believe Derrick Henry is more of a threat to break a big run. So now maybe Lamar Jackson's has a one-on-one opportunity they didn't have before because the backs that they had aren't a threat like Henry is, right? So that's what Derrick Henry does to you. He allows you to do play action game, right? They're a heavy play action team. And with Lamar Jackson, you can do a lot of things with a guy like Derrick Henry because of how powerful he is and what you do. I mean, I really hope it works out. I really do, because one, I want to see Derrick Henry do well. He's just been a pro's pro, been a class act, and now I think he goes to a team where I'd love to see. I think this might be what they need. So good for him.
Absolutely love it. Mac, what's your thoughts on Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, you guys said it all already. So I mean, I can keep mine very short, very sweet. Derrick Henry gives these guys the ability to do exactly what they've already been doing, except even better. I mean, pretty much just even better. It's just an upgrade to what they already do, the way they believe, the way they play their style of football. The Ravens are definitely a pound it down your throat kind of football team, and now Derrick Henry gives them the ability to do that, to execute that game plan even better. And watch out. We'll be seeing them sometime
Watch out.
in this season. We will be seeing this football team. So let's buckle up and get ready.
I absolutely love it. Love it. All right, guys. I knew we were saying we was going to talk about the draft and get into that, guys, but I have one more free agent topic. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. It just came off the top of my head. This is a team that, looked at A.J. Brown and made like, yo, we can trade you. We're going to grab someone in the draft. And that certain someone in the draft in Banks or Taiwan or whatever his name was didn't quite work out, right? But this is a team recently that they didn't want to pay AJ Brown, but they go and they get Hopkins. And now this offseason, the Tennessee Titans has paid $95 million to the number one. What I would say a lot of people wanted him for their teams if they needed a wide receiver, in Calvin Ridley. I'm going to just ask you guys this. Did they overpay? Did they underpay? What's your guys' thoughts on that? Let's make it fascinating because they're talking about the draft. Go right ahead, Mac. $95 million from Calvin Ridley.
Did they? I don't know. I guess they. I mean, look. Did they really overpay? I mean, this seems to be the market for that position. That's how everything seems to be broken down in the NFL. It's not about the player itself. It's about the position they play, and whatnot. So, well, I guess they just pay what the market value for a Calvin Ridley is these days. Apparently, that's pretty much his market value. He got it. I mean, it is what it is. I don't really. I just really feel some type of way about the whole system of the way they pay players in the NFL. I just think it's ridiculous to pigeonhole guys to positions and say you can't get paid this much because you play this position. If the guy's worth it, the guy's worth it. It doesn't matter what position they play. That's how I feel about it. But at the end of the day, this is the Tennessee Titans. They'll probably find a way to screw it up because they're the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out for Kyron Ridley for getting his bag. You gotta say that too,
Exactly.
I seen him on Instagram shopping the day of. You know what I'm saying? I was scared to spend this money right here, guaranteed. Then we go spend my bonus at the mall real quick. You know what I'm saying? I love that. Adam, I don't know if he's back yet. Adam,
I mean, that is life-changing money. I'd be balling right now too, like balling. I mean, I'm not saying go crazy and get in trouble or anything like that, but enjoy it. You made it that far. Calvin Ridley is a solid player. He was one of the top of the market guys out there before Mike Williams got cut, and you knew he was going to get that much money. He played pretty well last year for the Jaguars. He became their one when Christian Kirk went down with injury. And thank you. Christian Kirk went down with injury. So he became the number one after, and then he also helped out Evan Ingram. So now he's going to Tennessee, which, again, their identity now is a new kid on the block. They have Will Levis as a young quarterback. They're going to see if he can, kind of help him get acclimated to the NFL and make them a dynamic duo. Giving a weapon like that to a young quarterback tells me you're probably going to try to go downfield. And that's what you want to do in the same day. That's how you score points. That's the NFL. And you want to have a solid run game. This is how you want to win in the NFL. You need a run game that averages you 4 yards a carry. Because if you average 4 yards a carry, 4 times 3 is 12. You're always ahead of the sticks if you average 4 yards a carry on 3 downs of football, right? That's what you need to average, right? So that needs to be my efficient run game. So I want to be able to have explosive play sometimes if the run game is just clink, 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 right? And that's where you get them is in the passing game, and that's what they have. So I just want to let people know, you can have a solid run game and not have like an explosive player there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right, guys. I think this is a shot at Dak Prescott, by the way, holding the Cowboys cap at like $60 million. This free agency that couldn't really do anything with that, but let's go Cowboys! Ha ha ha!
They're paying $47 million to a less than mid quarterback.
That's true. That being said, guys, let's move on to what's going on in the world of the draft now. If you guys been tuning in to Premium Takes lately, you guys know how we feel. We feel that quarterback is a generational type of player, that he touches the ball every snap. That I know there's a lot of great wide receivers in this draft, but the team here at Premium Takes focuses on taking a quarterback. If Joe Shane absolutely loves the guy, I say we take a quarterback because of the fact that the wide receiver market is deep this year, and I would say quarterbacks more harder than fine, and a quarterback is a more important position to your team. So with that being said, guys, the Minnesota Vikings had made a trade with the Houston Texans to acquire the 23rd overall pick. That was the talk of the town today because Minnesota currently has Sam on roster. That being said, though, I don't think Sam is going to be their starting quarterback week 1. And between now and then, Minnesota is probably looking to put together a package to jump the Giants and move probably past Los Angeles as well to get one of these cream of the crop quarterbacks. When you really think about it, what the Bears are doing, they're kind of giving missed signals. Either you keep homie on your roster, or you don't. At this day and age, that trade market has closed, so you're not going to get anything probably better than the 5th. So either you trade Fields for a 5th, or you don't, and you keep him and you build a team around him and you package that number 1. But if you look at that GM, if he doesn't draft Caleb Williams, that would be the 3rd Heisman quarterback he passed up in the last 3 years. So I think Ryan Poole is in a tough spot right now. Yeah, Ryan Poole, you're not listening, but if you was listening, just take your losses with Justin Fields. Take a late round pick, because a team will give you a late round pick for Justin Fields. You're not going to get a 1st. You're not going to get a 2nd. You're not going to get a 3rd. You're not going to get a 4th. I don't think you get a 4th. That window has passed. All these teams has quarterbacks. That being said, let's go.
I don't get something.
Ahead,
I don't
Matt.
get something about this. So I'm sorry. We can't just walk away from this topic now. I mean, you brought it up. And I've been talking to people, a lot of different people about it. And I don't understand. What has Justin Fields truly done to just say, fuck it, we're giving up on you. You're not the guy. Forget it. You know Justin Fields can play football in the NFL. That's
Second
a
season,
fact.
1,000
You know he
rushing
can
yards.
do it. You've seen what his pass numbers did this year, how his pass numbers went up this year with the addition of DJ Moore. Now you have Keenan Allen as well. Do you think Justin Fields is just going to regress? The kid has ascended every year of his career. He has gotten better. He's taken a step up, a step forward each and every season. So why are they just wanting to give up on the kid? I don't get it. I get the talent you see in like a Caleb Williams and these guys, but the fact of the matter is none of them have played a down of football in the NFL. You know Justin Fields can play football in the NFL. You know that. That's a fact. continue to build the team around this kid. I don't understand why they're so quick to want to give up on
Chatting
him. They
house.
have other issues they can address and continue to build this team around him. He has been dynamic in spots on this. I mean, 1,000 yards and back-to-back seasons rushing, and like I said, his pass numbers have continued to get better. You added DJ Moore last year. Now you've added Keenan Allen to the mix. That's 2 number 1 wide receivers. Not very many teams have a situation like that. So I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I am in the minority about that. I guess I am because it seems like I usually am defending the hell out of Justin Fields. But I don't understand why Chicago seems to be and such just seems to want to just give up on this kid like as if he's been Daniel Jones or something.
I think
He's
you hit it
been the
right on the
opposite of
nail.
Daniel Jones. He's gotten better each year. Daniel Jones has continued to just get like worse.
I think you
I'm
hit it
sorry.
right on the nail.
That's
and
the kind of guy you give up on. I don't understand.
I think you hit it right on the nail,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
Chicago. No, you're perfect. That was awesome. I think Chicago is actually realizing that now, Mac. If you think about it, Justin Fields was never really fully set up for success. What did the Bears have when they brought him in and made that trade? They only made that trade because they got happy. They have to move up with us to get him. And yeah, Michael Parsons was behind us, but that's I differ. That being said, guys. They jumped up to get him because they couldn't realize that Justin Fields, ranked high in that draft, was still available. The Giants are calling them. They're like, fuck yeah, let's make that trade, right? They get Justin Fields off of excitement. They do nothing for the kid to surround him with weapons, to surround him with offensive lines. And then they finally work on that defense, and then they finally make the trade with Carolina, and then things are starting to look up, right? This is what I think they're starting to realize. I think they're starting to realize that this is really good news for us, and I was gonna touch about this later on in the show because I think, guys, there's news that New England only likes 2 quarterbacks, and obviously we know that someone's going to Washington no matter what. They're taking a quarterback, right? When you think of what Minnesota does, do they trade with the Cardinals? Do they take the Cardinals away from getting a generational player in Harrison that I have similar type build to a Larry Fitzgerald? And you know what that guy meant to the Cardinals organization? It looks like the Los Angeles Chargers are going to probably aim to go. I had them going Joe Alt, but now they don't have fucking receivers. So they're probably going to take a receiver if you think about it. Start fresh with that whole regime change, you know? The Giants are actually in like position where like people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to admit it. They want to be like, oh, we have a future. But what future? I think if you want a quarterback, and I think Joe Shane's and the Chicago Bears and all these top teams has been in talks. And I think the conversation hasn't been totally focused around the rumors about Justin Fields coming to the Giants. I think that has been a focus, but I think the other focus is, and what does it take, Chicago? Because if Chicago gets gutsy and be like, you know what, we're just going to focus on Justin Fields, I think if you're Ryan Poles, you don't listen to the media. The media is going to say, oh, you're going to pass up on your 3rd Heisman winning quarterback. At the end of the day, Mac's right. As much as I love Caleb Williams, he hasn't done anything in the NFL yet. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you have a quarterback that you've been developing for 3 years. If you ask Chicago fans, if you go, I tune into some Chicago streams. Chicago fans, they want to keep and develop Justin Fields. They want to get a haul for that number 1 pick to surround him. And honestly, guys, I know Giants fans don't want to hear this because they're in love with these Lambos that is Malik Neighbors and that is all these other Rome, all these other great receivers. The guy from Washington, 2 guys from Washington, and Brian as well. I know there's a lot of great receivers there, but if you think about it, bro, like we might be in a situation on draft day where Minnesota jumps and Joe Shane has been in talks. Like a lot of people say there's rumors, but Joe Shane has been in talks with all these top teams to go up and trade for the guy if the guy is there. You know what I'm saying? I think the guy is Drake May, honestly. I think they don't want to give up the house to go up there and take Caleb Williams at number 1. But with all this Ryan Poles, GM of the Chicago Bears, giving missed signals, it just opens up a lot of things. And I don't think quarterback in general, guys, is out of the question. A lot of Giants fans are so sealed that we're taking a wide receiver and running fucking victory laps already. Like, why are you running victory laps when free agency has not ended? And at the end of the day, we still have a lot of young wide receivers on this roster that can develop. And I don't know who we take. We take quarterback, we take a wide receiver, we take a tight end, we take an offensive lineman. But all of these moves are surrounding. I'm honestly feeling that we're going for a quarterback in this draft. And you can call it smoke grenades, but a lot of the media that I've been listening to is focusing on the quarterback of the Giants trying to finesse. Because at the end of the day, guys, we have one quarterback that is on roster that can throw in week one. Because I honestly think DeVito's on practice squad, guys. As much as he hyped it up in the ending of the season, DeVito's a practice squad quarterback, guys. We only have one quarterback that's fully healthy, that's ready to throw, and that's Drew Lock. And if you look at the contract as well with Daniel Jones, if he is injured in the beginning half of the season, everything changes, guys. And whatever happens, I've been talking for so long. Let's open up the mic to the boys. Go right ahead, Adam. Go right ahead, Matt.
Look, at the end of the day, man, I can't. I don't want to keep stressing on it, keep harping on it, man. But the quarterback position is what needs to be the focus here, and come draft day, man. It just stop trying. I don't know why people keep wanting to avoid it. Why people want to push it to the side, like as if it's not the most important need of this football team. It absolutely is. You need the leader. You need a guy that's going to be the leader. You need a guy that's going to be the future of this franchise, who's going to take this team to the next level. I mean, I'm not saying that we're expecting it to happen overnight, but at the end of the day, you need a guy that can be that guy. Number eight's not the guy. 5 years, he's not. He's proven he's not that guy. It is what it's done. That experiment is long over. His welcome is worn out completely, man. So at the end of the day, just as long as just don't overthink it, don't be foolish. Make the pick, man. Draft day, go up to that board, go up to that podium, and get your guy, man. Because things have a funny way of working out in the draft, man. And just don't be surprised if one of your guys is still sitting right there when that number 6 pick comes. And don't overthink it. Fuck what anybody thinks. It's not about anybody. It's about the New York Giants. You make your pick. You get your guy. Don't leave anything to fate. Don't leave anything to he should be available down the line. We can move back up in the first round. No, you get your guy, whoever it is. Just get him. Get him and get his fan base some hope that things are the change is going to come. Because right now, it's the move so far in this offseason, it's looked pretty nice, decent on paper. Now complete the deal and go get your quarterback. Draft day, man.
I think it
Make
hinges.
sure it's night one.
I
Get
think
your
it hinges.
guy. Get your guy.
His grade hinges on this draft. Like, don't bring in Brian Burns and tease me and do all this bullshit, right? Bring on all this offensive line to then fucking run it back with fucking DJ checkdowns. No. First off, I'm going to say this. I know this is probably not a giant conversation, but I'm going down this road anyways. Drew Lock's my quarterback one. I'm rooting for that guy, all right? Out the damn friggin' gate. Okay? So, Mac, what were you talking about again?
Well, that's the thing, Adam. You might be having a root for
Just
Drew
talking
Lock
about
because
the
Daniel
importance
Jones
of this team.
might not be ready to go week one. You got to think about it that way too. Everybody
Yes,
that
but-
wants a wide receiver is just planting Daniel Jones and it's just saying, "Oh, guys, we can always get someone next season." Well, guess what, guys? That's not your job. That's on the line. Giants fans that want a receiver, that's not the job that's on the line. Joe Shane's job and Brian Dable's job, I believe, is on the line this season. If they roll it back with Daniel Jones and they get less than 3 wins, I don't think they're here next year. But if they go and they take their quarterback, and trust me, guys, you can find wide receivers in the mid rounds. We might have a shot here. You know what I'm saying? But continue, Adam.
Listen, sorry, I got off track.
You're good.
Pardon me. I think getting the quarterback in the draft is going to make this an A+ offseason. I don't know if you can punt to next year. You know, I've thought about it back and forth, right? Because they do have Drew Lock here, and I'm not trying to be that guy who's going to paint roses or put lipstick on a pig or whatever that fucking saying is, where, Drew Lock is going to be the savior, but he does intrigue me because he's not named Daniel Jones, right? And he does have a bit of an upside. In the last game we saw him, he kind of moved his team downfield. He had a little moxie to him. So I kind of like to see, if we're going to have a lost season anyways, right, then if you punt on quarterback, I want to see Drew Lock start, because if it's going to be a 3-10 season, I'd rather see that guy start than Daniel Jones. At least maybe, Drew Lock might be something, right? Maybe he'll be a little something. I don't ever want to see GJ again. So you go get your quarterback. I don't want to see your excuses. I know Minnesota just made a huge trade, right, to get 11. Now they have 23 for Houston. Thanks, Houston. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea what they're going to do. It's tough for me to say right now, because at the end of the day, it really depends on what the Cardinals are going to do. Because if the Patriots decide to trade out, which it's becoming more and more likely they might do that, because, we always talk about the big
Giants. I was just going to say that's been rumors about the Patriots and the Giants. A bit of trade.
But that's the thing is, like, do the Patriots want to go down? If we played this scenario, right, would the Patriots want to go down to 11? Or would they want to go down to 6? Because it depends on what they want to do. Because 11 changes you. If you're not getting a receiver at that point, or one of the top receivers at that point, you may get Brock Bowers. You may be able to get an offensive lineman at 11. I mean, 23, it'll probably be a crapshoot. Yes, you do get 2 picks. The Patriots would, but I don't think they would want to move down that far. Now, if I'm them, I would trade with the Giants because I would get 6. I'd probably get their first next year, probably maybe their second next year, and a third or some shit, right? Whatever you need it to be, whatever value it needs to be. I don't care. Figure it out. Go get your guy. But I don't think that I'm not saying they wouldn't want those 2 first-round picks, 11 and 23. But if I'm the Patriots and I'm looking to rebuild, why would I want to now go further down and get less of a blue chip player on my team? I'm trying to rebuild a franchise here.
Unless maybe they fall in love with Penix, you know what I'm saying, and they value maybe Penix is going to be there. So it's like, okay, let's move down. That's the only scenario that I can see. Because rumors are saying that Patriots only like 2 of these quarterbacks. So what if those quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams? And I think those are going to be the first 2 off the board. I think Caleb Williams to Chicago, and I think Washington takes Daniels, right? What if Patriots don't like Caleb, and they want to get out, not Caleb, but a Drake May? Or what if they don't like a JJ and they want to maybe get a Penix? You know what I'm saying?
I agree, and maybe that's their strategy all along. I mean, hell, for all we know, the Giants could be playing coy. Maybe they want Penix Jr., and they're letting everybody trade up in front of them so they can get their guy.
This is my only problem with Giants. Not saying you, but Giants fans are saying that, like, they think that, like, the ones I talk to, they really like Penix. But the way I see it is, like, Andrew Thomas plays on the left side. Like, Evan Neal's on his blind side, bro. He's left-handed. I don't trust that shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that is a bit of a flaw, but I mean, it's not like, okay,
it's not a total flaw, but
I'm not going to let that prohibit me from
we can always move.
him.
Yeah, we
right?
can always move our line around. Absolutely. If you love a guy, you take a guy.
Yes, that's such a. I'm not saying it's a minuscule thing. Obviously, you don't want a fucking shitty tackle on that side. Obviously, I'm not saying, hey, yeah.
Wait, hold on. What I got one for you. I knew at Senior Bowl, I fell in love with him.
Exactly.
Who's that, Adam?
What are you, Daniel Jones, full bloom love?
At
Senior Bowl. He always circles back to that. No, but what I'm saying. Oh, you made me lose my train of thought. I'm sorry. Oh God, I was cooking too.
He was. We're talking about quarterbacks overpaying. If you love someone, you go get them.
Oh, right. Yeah. But what I'm saying, what I'm talking about is that if you're the Patriots, you still want to get a blue chip player. Why wouldn't you want to still get, like, if you move down to 11, you're not getting one of the top receivers. You're maybe not getting one of the top linemen, because at that point you're now subject to the Titans. Atlanta now doesn't need a quarterback, right? So now they have They have BPA. They have BPA. That's the best part about Atlanta right now. Is you can do BPA. So does that the Patriots target a guy like that? For all we know, they may bring in a Michael Penix Jr. I don't know. I mean, I doubt they would at that point because that would be kind of a. I mean, it would be a good plan, but you paid this guy, so it would be interesting. But my point is, let's say they don't. Right then at 9, you have the Bears again. Right now, they can do a myriad of things. Get a lineman, get the best defensive player. So now the Patriots are subject to, being 11. Now they get there, and maybe they're like Michael Penix Jr. Maybe that's what they want, and hopefully that's who the guy who slips to. Maybe it's Bo Nix. But that's a gamble that I don't think they would take. Now, if they want Penix Jr., I would say, hey, you guys can have May. You guys can have McCarthy. We don't even want that guy. We'll trade down to 6, get a couple picks. Oh, by the way, we'll take your first next year youngsters, right? And we'll take right. So they get the first next year, whatever picks this year, and then they get to pick whatever guy they want. We get our guy at May or McCarthy or whoever it is at 3. They get their guy Penix Jr. at 6, and away you go. Because Penix Jr. probably works out better for them. They don't have to worry about him sitting too long behind Jacoby Brissett. Right, he can actually come in and have a quarterback competition. May the best man win. Listen, you only got Jacoby Brissett there for a year. You're bringing Michael Penix Jr. You're easily upgrading your quarterback position instantaneously, and you can have them battle it out. And if you say, listen, we're going to let Jacoby start for now, right? And then we can bring in Michael Penix Jr. as the season progresses, and let him kind of cook halfway through the season. I think that would be an interest. If the Patriots want to get a quarterback, I always look at them like, why don't they get Penix Jr.? Why are they so in love with May? Why are they so in love with these quarterbacks? Because I'm like, if I'm the Patriots and I'm looking to start the franchise, and I'm looking down the quarterback list and I'm checking boxes, poise in the pocket, big games, big time throws, air yards, all the stuff that I look for, production in college, Heisman, like runner up, that type of stuff. All the boxes are checked. Winner, you know what I mean? But what they don't say is like, oh, this guy's pro ready. Like he's mature enough where you can start him out the gate, or you can let him mature a little bit as he gets his lumps about him while you have Jacoby Brissett there. Because he did that for Deshaun Watson, right? When they had the 10-game suspension for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, Brissett kind of took over and was like kind of an adequate starter for them. And then, of course, Deshaun Watson came in later on. That could be kind of like how you do this here, right? You let your offensive line gel a little bit. You let Jacoby Brissett take some of the blows. If you're not in the playoff hunt, you throw Penix Jr. in there, and boom, you got your quarterback of the future right there. I think, for me, it's a smart move for the Patriots. I think that's the kind of quarterback that if you fall in love with a guy like that, I'm sorry I'm rambling on. I'm gonna land the plane here. If you like a guy like Penix Jr., right, and the other teams like the other quarterbacks, because from whatever chatter that you've heard, right, and you're like, well, we know the Giants like May. We know, let's say the Vikings like McCarthy, whoever, right? But we like Penix Jr. Who else is going to take Penix Jr.? That is the gamble that you could take. Like, oh, I can go down to 11 because maybe these teams don't take it. So that's another thing that they could do if they want a quarterback like that. They could play the game like that. That would be a smart move as well for the Patriots to say, you know what? We don't want to take this guy at number 3. We'll trade out of it. We could trade either to the Giants, take him at 6, right? Or get 2 first-round picks from this guy, and they're going to take a different quarterback. And then at 11, you take that. But then the only other issue is if somebody trades up with Chicago, who may want that pick too. So, it's one of those things where if you dangle that carrot, don't be afraid if you lose that shit.
Yeah, this is gonna be just a fun year in general to look at the wide receivers, to look at the quarterbacks, because there's so much down there too. There's top
There's a lot of
three
good players
tier
everywhere.
wide receivers, absolutely. There's top three premier quarterbacks. But I would say this, there is one quarterback. Mac gave him some respect. Said his name last week that I think is not getting as much highlight. I think until his pro day. I think after his pro day, people will start talking about him even more. I know he's mocked to go in the second right now, but I think honestly he is going to probably be a first round pick based on just the amount of the fall off. I believe after the top five, and I actually put Penix at 6, and I put Nix at 5. I think Bo Nix is the quarterback that is not getting as much love. When I'm hearing all these names, right? You even hear some people saying that Penix is right there alongside like your Daniels of the world, your Caleb's of the world, and this quarterback's in Bo Nix. His name is rarely even in conversations, at least the media sources that I'm listening to. I think his name will kind of pop more after the first after the pro day. But that being said, it is a good year. I mean, like to be a quarterback, and even later on in the draft, you can actually find quarterbacks later on in the draft. But this is what I say for quarterbacks, for Giants fans in a whole, like. I'm looking at these wide receivers, and I'm not trying to say my point is better than any other Giants fans' points. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I honestly don't trust that Michael Penix Jr. Or Bo Nix is going to be there when we pick again, being that it's like the 49th pick. Now, I think in my draft analysis, I think they're going to be gone. So I think your shots
So
of
pick him at
getting,
6.
yeah, I think your shots of getting a really good receiver and then one of them is I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think. I mean, I'm not trying to say the unknowledgeable. I'm just
I got a
saying
question for you.
I don't think that's reasonable. I think when you sorry, real fast. I think when you look at this draft, and I'm looking at your Troy Franklins of the world, and I know I'm being biased speaking of his name because I'm a fan of the team. But the difference is I've seen every single player for the last 2 years. So I've seen a
Oh,
Brandon
Troy
Weiss come
Franklin.
in and then develop under Addison, and then everybody thought that Taj Washington was going to be the guy, and then here comes Brandon Weiss. And I seen this shit being a fan, right? And I honestly am surprised that Brandon Weiss is not getting that much love in the mainstream media. And I think he is going to get placed in the second round and the third round, and that's someone that I think can develop into being a receiver. And at the end of the day, I think height still can develop. You look at Robertson. I get it. We need an X. It's plain to see, guys. It's plain to see that we need an X. But at the end of the day, guys, I think quarterback's more important right now than an X receiver. Adam had a question for me though.
I do have a question for both of you guys.
Yeah,
Not just
yeah.
me.
Let Mac answer it too. Yeah.
Would you take Michael Penix Jr. at 6? Would that be a reach to you? I'm curious.
Yes.
It would be a reach.
For me, I'll be more happy taking a Bo Nix. I'll be more ecstatic to get a Bo Nix at 6. I don't know if you guys seen it, but when we first started talking about this, I believe we talked about this on Mac's show probably a couple. But it was right when USC played Notre Dame or something like that, and the Giants played, and Mac did a reaction show to the Giants, and Logan was on that show with Alex, I believe. Me, Logan, Alex, you, and Mac was on that show, and then everybody was shouting out names, and then Bo Nix names came out, and then Mac brought his name up last week. If you look at the teams that he played this year, his composure in the pocket, just look at his mechanics. I mean, like, these are not finished products, guys. But at the end of the day, you can bring in someone and still work them. You know what I'm saying? And as much as I respect Penix, I look at it like he was hurt every single year in college, and I get it. For some, those are just minor injuries, but I look at it as someone that is hurt every single year in college, and as someone that I'm just looking at our team. I remember, I get it. You can always move Andrew Thomas to the right guard, the right tackle. But I just think his accuracy is there. He's a true pocket passer, but he needs to go to a team that the offensive line is actually legit. Like, because if you think about it, like, not taking anything away, because here's the thing, though. If Caleb Williams and Drake May and was on that Washington team, they would have scrambled a bit longer. I get it. You can't do that in the NFL. I get it. You can't scramble for 700 seconds like a Caleb Williams in the NFL. But if you look at his mobility against Michigan, like, he literally, if the offensive line is not there for Penix Jr., like, your offensive line needs to be there. And you look at an offensive line like ours, I just think, like, just based on our offensive line. We don't know what Jermaine is gonna do. We don't know what John's gonna do right now, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the way I look at it. Go right ahead, Matt.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
Would you?
Day.
Yeah, we're gonna end the show here soon. Would you care if you took like? Would you be Would if you took Penix at 6? Would you be happy with that? Or would you?
Would that be a reach to you?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it was. Penix at 6. Uh, damn. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a reach, but at the end of the day, if he's your guy, man, you still just got to pull the trigger, and you can't be scared to pull that trigger, man. You got to make it happen. Uh, but I mean, yeah, you just sometimes you just got to go with your gut, man. You got to do what you think, what you think is the best thing for you. If he is,
I will say this. I don't know if Mac was done. We're gonna end the show here soon. I will say this though. Like the way I rank these quarterbacks is like, I like if I had it my way, bro, I'm going to go grab Caleb Williams regardless, but it's not gonna happen. So what I rank it like this: Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCourtney, Bo Nix, and I know people call me crazy. Then the 2 wide receivers, then Brock, and then Penix. So if at 6 and they're not in love with Bo Nix, then you take one of these receivers if these other quarterbacks are gone. But to finish Mac's point too, it's like if they're falling in love with Bo Nix, who am I to say that's a reach too? You know what I'm saying? Like if they fall in love with the quarterback, go get the quarterback. So I guess my point is quarterback over any other position. But if the quarterback that I really want, like a Drake May or like a JJ is gone, then I wouldn't be mad at a wide receiver. But I'm at this point is quarterback over anything, and hopefully they fall in love with one of these guys and they go out there and get them, because Joe Shane has shown that he's a straight out assassin in free agency. He doesn't hold anything back. At the end of the day, he's in the driving seat right now. He controls the destiny. He controls the destiny of his job. So why would he care about future draft picks when he might not even be there, right? So
Right.
I'm not saying wreck the Giants, but I'm just saying use all your available resources while you can, while you're in that driver's seat.
My point is this. My plan A is to try to trade up and get May or McCarthy or whatnot. My plan B is to take Penix Jr. at 6. You know why? I'm already building a team for him. I just got in Jermaine Illuminor. He can play on the right side. So I have a solid now right tackle, which is the blind side of Michael Penix Jr. I have now pass blocking guards. The guards they've signed have plus pass blocking grades. Well, who's the best pure passer in the draft? Michael Penix Jr. What is the smoke? JJ McCarthy, Drake May. They don't talk about Michael Penix Jr. to the Giants. Now, I don't know if that's on purpose, because they do say the Giants like 4 quarterbacks. Do we know which ones they like? Do we know which ones they've checked off their list? Could he be one of the 4, right? I think there are at least 6 guys, Bo Nix included, that like, for me, at the very least, you need to come out with Bo Nix. But what I'm saying is, think about this. At 6, they get Michael Penix Jr. because they're already building a pass blocking line for a guy that's a decent passer. And when we find out that he's a little bit more mobile than we think, boom. And you can have Drew Lock right there, kind of like his mentor. And they both fit what Brian Dable wants to do, and that's a downfield type of thrower, right? Who's the best downfield thrower in the game? Well, there's actually 2. There was Bo Nix. He threw the ball downfield pretty well. And Michael Penix Jr., right? He launched the ball all over the football field last year. So I'm not saying that the Giants are going to go 100% with Michael Penix Jr., but I'm like, yo, think about it. You know, there's no smoke with this guy. Bo Nix is occasionally talked about. They love 4 guys. We don't know which 4 guys they love, because remember, it's their board. It doesn't have to be our board. And if they think that they can get the guy in the first round or not, because for all we know, maybe Penix Jr. is the guy we should be looking at. maybe that's the guy we should be looking at. Because if you're trying to get him later on down the draft, just take him now at 6. Just say, screw it. You know what? I'm going to sit here. You guys fight for, 3, give up all your draft assets. I'm going to sit here at 6. I'm going to take the guy that we love, Michael Penix Jr., who he thinks is a stand-up guy, great leader, on and off the field. We absolutely love him. We're going to build our offense around this guy, And if you're looking at it right now, running back by committee, you get him a wide receiver in the second round, bingo, bango, boom. You got a guy that can come in and compete right away from day one with Drew Lock. And now you have Drew Lock and Michael Penix Jr. there as your quarterback 1-on-1-2. And Daniel never has to see the field. Tommy DeVito can be your emergency quarterback, and away you go.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, and I'm gonna let Mac say something and talk, and then close the show out. But my last thing I'm gonna say too is like, Giants fans, we have about $6 million in the cap, and we're not even restructuring contracts yet, and that's what I love about Joe Shane is he doesn't really do that unless he absolutely has to. But say if he wants to, he can go and restructure and probably come up at about $25 million in space, restructuring Andrew Thomas, restructuring Dexter Lawrence. And then we'll not off the market of trading for a wide receiver. If you guys don't trust these wide receivers, what I would say,
get rid of Darren Waller.
Yeah, exactly. Get rid of Darren Waller. If he retires, you know what I'm saying. And I would say this for Giants fans that want a wide receiver. I would say this: please take the time to like that. That's what wants a wide receiver over a quarterback at 6. Please take the time, and if you did already, then I salute you. But take the time and go look at least the top 15. I'm serious. At least the top 17 wide receivers. And I get it. There's not all of them is they're all different styles. They're all different tools. But I'm going to say the candy shop is open at that position when I truly see a fall off in quarterback after the top 6. So when I'm looking at the Giants, we can still trade for a wide receiver because we all know our wide receiver department's not done yet, right? But we can always trade for a wide receiver, or we can always get a stud wide receiver and develop him in the second and the third round. But I'm going to pass the duties over to Mac. He can say whatever he needs to say, but I'm done talking. I'm ready to close it out. The show is yours, Mac. I think he might still have technical difficulties. Oh, he's good.
Yeah. It's been an interesting week. First week of free agency opening up the off season, man. NFL. It's been exciting. A lot of interesting moves. I mean, you saw a lot of the top running backs in the NFL find new homes. On the Green Bay is clutch. We didn't really touch on that one tonight, but that was a big time clutch move right there. Joe Mixon getting extended down in Houston, getting traded to Houston, and then getting extended. I mean, the Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, like Tony Pollard hitting Tennessee. I mean, a lot of the top running backs in the league find new homes. Has been
good for them, Good for them.
Of the off season, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Good for the running backs. They deserve it. All those guys deserve it.
A lot of teams, man. A lot of teams just really making some game changing moves. We touched on a couple of them. The Eagles, the Atlanta Falcons, really doing some big things. So just shout out, congratulations to all these teams. Hopefully, the New York Giants can get things going in the right direction. Looks good on paper thus far, what we've seen, but we obviously still need so much more. And so we'll see what Joe Shane got up his sleeve, man. And now it's looking, you just really anticipating draft day because you really want to see how he's going to pull this trigger, man, and what's he going to do, man. Because the quarterback position is definitely should be a point of emphasis. Should be a point of emphasis. Got to get that guy night one. I want a night one quarterback, and I think you got to
absolutely love Justin
one way or another.
That's what I'm saying, man. Michael Penix.
Justin Simmons would be. I'd be all about that, man. He ain't quite the guy he used to be either, but he still is. He's still good. He's still good enough. Still give you something back there. Good leadership. But
I'm just saying. Not many people are talking about him. It just kind of. I don't know. Maybe I'm being weird about it, but they need a quarterback. There's smoke with the JJ thing. Going up to 2 or 3 might be astronomical. who can fall into your lap that nobody is thinking about right now? Michael Penix Jr. And you're building a team where you have double tight ends right now to help out your tackles. I'm just saying, I don't know. It seems like a move to me.
I won't be mad if they love him. Absolutely, go get your guy.
That's what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, just go get your guy. Period. Get him. Don't overthink it. Don't make it a tough. It that had to be. Don't make it difficult. Just get him. Just get him. If you believe in that, if you that's who you believe in, make it happen, man.
Could happen. There's a lot of talks about all different directions, and we're not ruling anything out. We're not ruling anything out at all.
I mean, you're not ruling it out, but I'm making myself quite clear. Get your quarterback. Get that guy. That's what needs. That's what needs to happen. I mean, I just feel like we're not taking this seriously if we don't go out and we're not aggressive in this decision making right now. I mean, look, offensive linemen, you kind of like I said, you've done some good job so far in free agency addressing some of the interior line problems. Hopefully, at least anyway. It looks like I said, it looks good on paper. It all looks good on paper right now. But you got to get your guy, man. You got to get one of those quarterbacks, man. Like Zion just said a little while ago, there is a drop off after those top 6 guys, man. To me, those are the elite quarterback talents in this draft. The guys that have potentials to be special amongst the quarterbacks coming out in this class, man. So I just you got to come out of this with one of those guys, one of those names. However it trickles down to you, whatever it may be, you got to come off with one of those names. And that's just how I feel about it right now, man. It needs to be done. The Daniel Jones era is over, and it is time to move on. And let's get that thing cracking this year, man.
Hell yes.
Great talented group of guys
Absolutely.
coming out.
Drew Lock is my quarterback number 1, baby. Drew.
Yeah, I mean that's facts, man. It's like go get your guy. And I'm sorry, I said that was the last time I'm gonna say something, but I'm gonna say this. Go look at that video of Joe Shane at the Senior Bowl highlights or whatever, his clips, his hot mic clips. It's just hilarious. You can just see come on, bro. You really gonna bet your job on Daniel Jones? Like, come on, bro. He ain't stupid. He really knows. But that's it for me.
That would be a bad bet.
Drew Lock, baby.
But everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in once again on this Friday night, hanging out with the Horsemen. Another edition of the Premium Takes podcast, man. Everybody, please throw them 4s up for our guy, NYG Jeffy T, man. Always one love. No one's ever getting his seat at the table. This is the Premium Takes podcast. We will see y'all again next Friday night. Same bat time, same bat channel. Pass!